or good evening, or maybe even good morning, wherever you are. We're back today on our live stream. Reza from Toronto, Laura, welcome from Colombia.
Hi, everybody.
We're going to have a bilingual session, English and Spanish. So you can say hello to our Spanish speakers.
Hola a todas las personas de acá, de habla hispana. Estamos en otro directo de INVIVO Canadá. En el tema de hoy, el día de hoy, vamos a hablar del tema de cómo aplicar a un permiso de trabajo si se encuentra desde Canadá. Entonces, vamos a explicarle todo eso de cómo hacer esa conversión de estatus desde dentro de Canadá si se consigue una oferta de trabajo.
Great. We're going to talk about how to apply for a work permit from inside of Canada today. So the core part is that being eligible to convert your status from a visitor visa to a work permit, right? To become an international temporary foreign worker. What are the eligibility? What are the steps? Which form you need to work on? And what is the key documents that you need? So that's what we're going to be covering today.
Ok, diciendo un poco más que todos los temas en español también y diciéndoles en qué nos estamos enfocando el día de hoy, es en cómo hacer esa conversión desde turista a, si se tiene la oferta de trabajo, hacer después y aplicar después al permiso de trabajo. Entonces, ¿cómo se hace esa conversión? ¿Qué tipo de documentos se necesitan o qué aspectos se tienen que tener en cuenta para poder volverse un trabajador y aplicar el work permit si antes era un turista?
Yeah, so today, the first 6, 7, 8 minutes, we're going to talk about how to convert, who can convert. When you're here inside of Canada as a visitor and you find a job and you want to convert to a full-time worker and receive a work permit, okay? So that's what we're going to do. This is an unedited live session. So if you're watching this later on, and you don't see any special effects and it's not going smoothly and it's 50 minutes of us talking and answering questions, that's the sessions we are in. We're going to talk about the program, about how to convert, and then we're going to answer your questions and comments on YouTube and Facebook Live. Okay? So basically, we're going to jump into the discussion points right now. So how do you convert? Who can convert? When they're inside of Canada as a visitor to a temporary foreign worker, the first thing you need is a job offer. Okay, if you cannot find a job offer, then the only situations where you can apply for a work permit without a job offer is if you're the spouse or partner of an international student or worker, you're bridging a work permit because you applied for PR, you're a spouse or partner who's being sponsored by a Canadian, and you're inside of Canada, you're an asylum seeker, which has been approved for as a conventional refugee to be processed, or you're an international student from an eligible school who's doing a postgraduate work permit. Those are the only scenarios where you do not need a job offer. Okay, so I'll wait for Laura to mention. Hold on, these are the situations when you don't need a work permit, a job offer for a work permit.
Okay.
So, yeah.
El primer tema que vamos a tratar en este momento es cuáles o quiénes son los que pueden aplicar a un permiso de trabajo dentro de Canadá y para cambiar su estatus dentro. Entonces, lo primero que se necesita y es esencial es tener una oferta de trabajo. Ese es como el requisito principal para poder aplicar al permiso de trabajo, pero existen algunas excepciones. ¿Cuáles son esas excepciones? Si la persona que va a aplicar el permiso de trabajo es justo la pareja o el esposo o la esposa de un estudiante internacional, que vendría siendo el permiso de trabajo abierto para la pareja. También una persona que acaba de terminar sus estudios en un college público y va a aplicar el PGWP. También todas las personas que son refugiadas y que se encuentran como en ese proceso podrían aplicar a un permiso de trabajo. Y pues también están las personas que son lo que son pues pareja de un residente permanente en ese momento. Entonces, esas son como las principales aspectos que se pueden, o personas que se pueden, o perfiles que se pueden aplicar al permiso de trabajo sin necesidad de tener una oferta de trabajo.
Yeah, thanks, Laura. So now you have a job offer. What does a valid job offer mean in Canada? According to Canadian immigration, what does a valid job offer mean, right? So we've got three types of programs. There are three categories where you will get a job offer. Because if you don't fall under these other categories that we just discussed, you need a job offer. If you're inside of Canada and you want to convert to become to receive a work permit. So you're a visitor, you're a tourist, you find a job and you want to convert, okay? So first we're gonna talk about these programs right now, right? So these are the categories. One is you need a labor market impact assessment, an LMIA. So when an employer gives you a job, they have to have previously received an approval from Service Canada, which is one of the government departments here, to allow them to hire a foreign worker instead of a Canadian resident or citizen. So that's what they mean by a labor market impact assessment, okay? So they have to receive that first, and it takes approximately, anywhere 3 months, the whole process, because they have to advertise, then they apply, then the application could take anywhere from 1.5 to 2.5 months. And then with that approved labor market impact assessment, you can apply for a work permit based on that job offer. There's programs where there's no labor market impact assessment required, so we call them Lmi Exempt. These can be global talent stream, global skills strategy, international mobility program. These are the categories where you do not need an LMIA, but you have the employer and you have to meet the criteria of these LMI exempt categories to apply for a work permit inside of Canada. And then the last category would be also LMI exempt, but through the provincial nominee program, PNP. So we'll cover those in Spanish, and then we're going to talk about what happens afterwards, which form you have to fill out.
Ok. Traduciendo un poco y comentándoles un poco lo que estaba diciendo Reza en inglés acerca de del permiso de trabajo y las ofertas de trabajo, lo primero que hay que tener en cuenta es cómo se puede identificar o cómo podemos saber esto si una oferta de trabajo es válida. Entonces, lo primero que se necesita es que la aplicación, la oferta de trabajo sea por LMIA, que significa Labor Market Impact Assessment. Y en ese caso es cuando hay un empleador canadiense que busca a un trabajador extranjero porque ya dentro del mercado canadiense, sean residentes o ciudadanos, no encontraron a alguien que cumplía con su perfil y por eso están buscando por fuera, en el extranjero, y pues ahí es cuando uno puede aplicar y conseguir una oferta de trabajo si tiene el LMIA, ya es empleador. Igualmente hay excepciones en donde no se requiere el LMIA, que vendrían siendo lo que es algunos programas como el Global Talent Stream, el Global Skills Strategy y el International Mobility Program, porque estos programas ya tienen como, no se necesita un LMIA, sino que ya tienen sus propios criterios de elegibilidad y pues ya se podría mirar por aparte. Entonces, eso es lo que se tiene que tener en cuenta, y aparte de eso también lo que son algunos programas de nominación provincial tienen excepciones dentro de lo del LMIA.
Great. Thank you, Laura. So we're going to get to the questions and comments very soon. We're just covering the work permit process. So the employer has to go through the labor market impact assessment or the LMI exempt process. So you don't initiate it as the worker. The employer has to go through the process. When they have the approval, then with that, they can ask you to apply for a work permit. Okay? So you can mention that, Laura, and then I'm going to share my screen.
Sure. Para las personas que vayan a aplicar el LMIA, o sea, si consiguieron un empleador que les va a ayudar con la oferta de trabajo y está vinculado con el LMIA, el mismo empleador es el que se encarga de todo el proceso para que la persona pueda trabajar. No es como solamente la persona se encarga, sino que es el empleador también. Y algo que no dije anteriormente, pero que también es importante tener en cuenta, son los tiempos que tienden a ser de 2 a 3 meses o hasta más todo ese proceso.
Great. So this is the form, everybody, that you need to use to apply for a work permit from inside of Canada. So it doesn't matter if you're applying as a postgraduate work permit, an LMIA work permit, if you're converting your status, right, from, let's say, a student to a worker, or a worker, basically going from one work permit to another, or from a visitor to a worker, right? This is, or you need to restore yourself as a worker, or renew your work permit if you're especially under an LMIA or employer-specific work permit. This is the form you have to fill out, okay? So, Laura, you can
Okay. Lo que están viendo a continuación en la pantalla que está siendo compartida es el documento o el formulario que todas las personas que van a aplicar el permiso de trabajo tienen que diligenciar. No importa si es para un permiso de trabajo abierto de pareja, no importa si es para PGWP, que es cuando uno termina el college y después va a aplicar el permiso de estudio. Si fue un estudiante y quiere aplicar el permiso de trabajo y convertirse en un trabajador, o si es un visitante, no importa porque ese es el documento que todos van a tener que diligenciar.
Great. Yeah, so basically this is IM M5710. That's the form, that's the main application form to convert, right? To change your condition or extend your stay when you're inside of Canada. This is the main form. So Laura, you can mention that as well. Yeah.
Entonces, este formulario es el formulario principal. Con esto se hace como la aplicación principal a lo que es el permiso de trabajo.
Yes. So when you do have the LMIA, or if it's an LMI Exempt and you're converting your status, remember everybody, the first eligibility is you need status in the country. If you're out of status, you cannot fill this form. Okay, so let our viewers understand that as well.
Yeah. Algo importante es que si van a aplicar a lo que es un permiso de trabajo, ustedes y están dentro de Canadá, tienen que estar con un estatus válido en Canadá, ya sea visitante, estudiante, pero tienen que estar legalmente en Canadá. Si no se tiene un estatus, no se puede aplicar y pasar de un estatus a otro para conseguir el permiso de trabajo.
So you basically fill this form out very quickly. Your unique client identifier, which is in your passport, on your visa, or if you were issued a visitor record or a study permit, your UCI number is always there. You click on this if you're applying for a work permit for the first time, let's say an LMIA or a postgraduate work permit. Basically, you're converting your status. You put your full name and details, right? Basic information here, Laura. I don't know if you want to just kind of follow me in Spanish as well. You're inside of Canada. So here you actually have to put Canada. Yes, folks, you actually have to put Canada here. And your status is, I don't know, I'm a student, I'm a visitor, let's say, right? Because you're inside of Canada. This form is for when you're inside of Canada, right? I don't know if, Laura, if you want to mention something.
Yeah, I'm going to do a little review. Entonces, para esa aplicación, pues se tiene que tener en cuenta que como vas a estar dentro de Canadá, en lo que se pone país o territorio sería el país de Canadá. Y pues así se va diligenciando el formulario teniendo en cuenta la información que piden, y si es la primera vez que se diligencia lo que es el permiso de trabajo, ahí pueden darse cuenta en la opción que está seleccionada de Apply for, no alcanzo a leer desde acá, pero esa opción. Y más que todo es eso, o sea, es ir diligenciando ese formulario.
Yeah, so it's very basic, your details, your language, your passport, your national ID. You don't have a US PR card, so you don't need to fill this out. Contact information. So your mailing address. So remember, the work permit inside of Canada will be physically mailed to you, okay? it will be physically mailed to you, right now, because of a COVID policy valid until February 2022. After that, you have to pick it up at the border. So you need to flagpole. So Laura can explain, and then I'll get into more details about that.
Ok. En esta formulario se tienen, pues también está la opción de poner una dirección actual, y porque el contacto se está haciendo físico, o sea, llega directamente la correspondencia a la dirección que se añade ahí. Entonces es importante tener una dirección, y eso de la dirección se está haciendo hasta febrero del 2022, entonces toca tener en cuenta ese formulario y pues ese aspecto.
Yes. So here you have to put in your address where inside, so you can receive the work permit. And remember, everybody, you, as of February 2022, next year, this policy will expire, so you need to flagpole. So you cannot apply from inside of Canada. You apply from inside of Canada, but you apply as if you're outside on February onwards. And what does it mean to flagpole? It means to go to the US border, as if you're exiting and coming back. So you're going to the US, but you're not. You're just exiting Canada and you're just returning so you can receive your work permit. Okay.
Diciendo algo muy importante que estaba en español, que está diciendo Reza, es que esta póliza o este formulario y todo esto está hasta febrero del 2022 para aplicar dentro de Canadá. Ya después de esa fecha, sí se podría aplicar para el permiso de trabajo, pero tendría que estar fuera de Canadá. No necesariamente en el país de uno, sino que uno puede ir a Estados Unidos y aplicar desde Estados Unidos, pero tiene que ser fuera de Canadá. Y pues eso es se empieza a hacer eso válido otra vez, ya después de febrero de 2022.
Yeah, so it's important, and then your residential address, if it's outside, inside. Some basic details when you entered Canada the first time, right? And then when was your most recent entry, plus if you came in as a visitor, what was the purpose, right? So first you came in on tourism, or you came in as a student, right? Or you came in something else, like a family visit, which is again a visitor. Plus, if you went and came back, the most recent entry, where and what date. Here, where and what date, right? And plus the most recent document you have from the immigration, like a visitor record, which means basically you stayed here as a visitor, or study permit or work permit, that document number they want. So as a visitor or a student or a worker. And then here you apply, you pick what kind of work permit you want to apply. So basically, if you're doing a labor market impact assessment, employer specific work permit, you pick LMI. If you're doing postgraduate work permit, then yeah, you apply, you pick postgraduate work permit. See? Right, so this is from inside of Canada, folks. Okay, so Laura, you can mention that in Spanish as well.
Yeah, sure. También en esta parte de lo del formulario es importante añadir el por qué llegó a Canadá y cuál es el estatus. Por ejemplo, si llegó por turista, entonces se debe poner que pues la razón por la que fue a Canadá, el propósito fue por turismo, y pues se añade esa información, y ya después en los detalles de lo del trabajo en Canadá se añade o se selecciona pues teniendo en cuenta si fue una oferta de trabajo por el Lmi, ya se pone la oferta de trabajo, si está relacionado con, no sé, una excepción del Lmi, también se añade, y pues así se tiene en cuenta cómo se diligencia ese formulario.
Yeah. So, yeah, sorry. So I'm just putting some basic info. So yeah, and basically it's very basic. If you're doing a postgraduate work permit, you do not need to fill out these details here, 2 to 8, right? So you don't need to fill this information out. If you have a labor market impact assessment, yes, you need to fill out this information with your employer details, your labor market impact assessment offer, the approval of the labor, or if it's an Lmi Exempt, the exemption code, and how long you'll be working. If you have a postgraduate work permit, this section you don't need. You just pick postgraduate work permit, and you don't need to fill out any of this, okay? Labor market impact assessment, and then we're talking about your education. So this is your background, this section, right? Your employment history as well. Basically, your background here in terms of your employment, your education, and that's it. It's a very simple form. It's not complicated. So, Laura, you can take it from here.
Yes. Entonces, teniendo en cuenta pues todo lo que hemos mencionado y como se dieron cuenta ahorita, tienen que diligenciar también la parte de la educación, de lo que es como la experiencia laboral que se ha tenido y pues la información relacionada a uno. Entonces no es un formulario difícil de diligenciar, es más que todo pues añadir la información y ya con eso esto se tiene como en una parte de la aplicación. Entonces es un paso a paso, pero no es algo complicado, siempre y cuando se tenga, pues ya saben, la oferta de trabajo o cumplan con alguna de las excepciones.
Yeah. And then education, employment history, make sure you leave no gaps in your employment history. No gaps, even if you were unemployed, no gaps. Background information is some general questions. Remember, if you have been ever refused, okay, for any country, for immigration, even if you were approved after your first refusal, you have to say yes, and you have to mention when and what, right? And have you previously applied to enter Canada? Yes, because I'm inside Canada. I applied for a visitor visa in, I don't know, 2020 June, and it was approved, right? So you have to say yes, well, yes here, no there. If you were refused previously, even if you were approved afterwards, even for other countries, and any applications you've done to come to Canada. So to stay in Canada, visitor records, study permit, work permit, renewals, whatever it is, okay? If it's a PR applicant, you have to mention it here, okay? So Laura, you can take that.
Otro aspecto importante que se tiene que tener en cuenta es pues la parte ya como del estatus dentro de Canadá y pues uno como está aplicando dentro de Canadá, entonces uno tiene que decir que pues sí, que está se encuentra recientemente en Canadá y que está aplicando ahí y también es muy importante mencionar si se ha tenido algún rechazo de alguna visa, ya sea esto canadiense o de algún otro país, se tiene que decir, no importa si igual después de ese rechazo más adelante se la aceptan, igual eso es información que uno tiene que añadir si ha recibido algún rechazo. Y también es importante ver que no hayan como lapsos o huecos dentro de lo que es la parte de educación o la parte de laboral.
Yeah, and you feel you answer these questions truthfully, right? Your background, and then you sign, you date, and you validate. I cannot validate because the form is not completed. When you validate, it will give you a barcode, and with that, you upload your application. That's it, folks. That's how easy it is, right? Laura, you can.
Ya luego de tener toda la información diligenciada en ese formulario, uno lo que le da es en el botón de validate, que es como validar la información, y ahí a uno le dan pues ya un código y ya con ese código y todo puede continuar con toda la aplicación que sigue para lo del permiso de trabajo, pero pues esta es como el formulario, uno de los formularios más importantes.
So the most important parts of a work permit application when you're converting your status in South Canada is A, your job offer, 2, your LMI exemption code or your LMIA approval number. Those are the two most important things. The rest of it is passport and your history and showing some money, showing some ties to your home country. Remember, you always need to show ties to your home country. So those are the two most important things to consider, right?
Ok, en español, diciendo pues lo que está diciendo Rosa, que es muy, muy, muy importante, los dos aspectos que se tienen que tener en cuenta y que se tienen que considerar cuando se va a aplicar el permiso de trabajo es tener una oferta de trabajo y aparte de la oferta de trabajo tener el LMIA aprobado o al menos estar dentro de una de las excepciones del LMIA. Ya con esos dos aspectos o criterios importantes ya se puede tener en cuenta pues la aplicación para el permiso de trabajo. Igualmente se van a tener que mostrar otros componentes, otros criterios como lo es la parte financiera. También es muy importante mostrar que se tienen vínculos con el país. O sea, igualmente si es un permiso de trabajo, siempre se va a tener que demostrar lo que son los vínculos con el país de origen de uno.
Okay. Okay. So those are the key things, Laura, and our viewers. You can convert. Right now, there's a policy until February where you can apply from inside. If you cannot, okay, we lost Laura. We're getting her back again. Here we go. If you lost, after February, you have to apply from outside and you have to flagpole. Again, everybody, if you need any help on this, let us know, but that's the easiest way to explain it. You need a job offer, you need to apply for a work permit. The only times you do not need a job offer is if you're a spouse of a worker or student, you're an asylum seeker, you're a postgraduate work permit holder, or a student who's graduated, startup business. So there's specific categories. Temporary resident permit holders, bridging open work permits. These are, you do not need a job offer. But everything else, you need a job offer. And we're talking about inside of Canada right now. So is that okay, Laura? Do you want to mention anything or jump to?
I got it. I can mention it in Spanish. Entonces, haciendo como un breve resumen de todo lo que estábamos diciendo, las dos razones para, los dos aspectos que se tienen que tener en cuenta para aplicar dentro de Canadá es lo de la oferta de trabajo y el LMIA o no necesariamente el LMIA, sino que cumplir con algunas de las excepciones, y eso es dentro de Canadá y se necesita la oferta de trabajo. ¿Y cuándo no se necesita esa oferta de trabajo? Cuando ya también hay algunas excepciones que son ya muy mínimas, y es cuando se está aplicando un permiso de trabajo de pareja. Significa que la pareja está estudiando o está trabajando y uno está aplicando a ese permiso de trabajo como pareja. O cuando termine mis estudios y quiero aplicar al PGWP, o cuando me estoy casando con alguien que ya es residente temporal, permanente. Y pues sí, hay solamente como algunas excepciones en las que no se necesita ninguna oferta laboral. De resto, sí se necesita la oferta laboral y el LMIA o cumplir con las excepciones.
Thanks, Laura. So we got two questions right now on our YouTube. Okay, we're gonna overlay the chat, the comments, Laura. So first of all, some people saying hi. Nirali Mehta, hi Nirali. Godson, Nabuke Godson, hi. And Nasreen Ibrahimi, hello Nasreen. Gabby, it's my goodness. So we got two questions, Lucas Flores and Anil. Anil is a little bit rushed, so I'm going to answer Anil's first. So Anil's question, Reggie Chef, says, I would like to ask about spousal open work permit. How long does it take to process now? I already applied the visa in September 28th, so about 1 month ago. I completed my biometrics on October 3rd. I applied from Qatar. Unfortunately, Anil, I have bad news for you. There are no processings right now of open spousal work permits. It's very slow. I don't expect it for several months. So we're talking anywhere from 4 to 6 months to 8 months to 10 months. We don't know. It's not fast. You will not get a decision this year. So I apologize for the bad news, okay? Itzia Martinez, hello. How are you? If anybody wants to post in Spanish, please do. We're a bilingual session today with Laura. Adenike, oh, Anila is asking, do I want your email address? Okay, hold on, here you go. Please, everybody, do not send comments or questions. We have our YouTube and Facebook and social media for that. The office is only for people who need help and want to basically take our office's services. Okay, so that's our email there. So Adineke is asking, is the home child care LMIA required or LMI exempt? It's LMI exempt. It's a pilot program. However, if you don't apply under the pilot program, you have to do the LMI. But if you apply under the pilot program, it's LMI exempt. If a company is hiring you, it's going to be through the LMIA. If it's a family, a person or a family, then you're going through the pilot program. So there's specific things on that. Okay. So let's go to the first question actually. So Lucas Flores, right, is saying, hi Reza, I'm in Canada as a visitor and I'm waiting for my family sponsorship to be approved. I applied in March 2020. My partner is a Canadian citizen and we also applied for my open work permit, but we don't have an answer yet. How much time would it take for me to receive my open work permit? And could I bring my daughter who is still in Ecuador? What kind of visa should I apply for her to come here? So Luca Flores, I apologize first of all that we were replying to you so late. You were one of the first people who posted the question. So Laura, do you want to read the question in Spanish and then convert it, and then I'll answer it in English, okay?
Okay, sure, fine. Luca Flores, tú estás preguntando, y bueno, para las personas que están acá también les comento lo que está preguntando Luca Flores, y lo que pasa es que él está en Canadá como un visitante con una visa de turismo y está esperando para recibir lo que es el sponsorship de la familia, y él aplicó en marzo 17 del 2020. La pareja de él es un ciudadano canadiense y pues también aplicó para y pues también están aplicando para el permiso de trabajo abierto, pero no han recibido ninguna respuesta. Entonces, las preguntas que está realizando él es como cuánto tiempo va a demorarse en recibir esa respuesta, y aparte del tiempo, también que tienen un niño en Ecuador, entonces una niña en Ecuador, entonces, ¿cuál es la mejor forma o qué tipo de visa debería utilizar la hija para poder ir a Canadá?
Thanks, Laura. So, Luca, the answer to your question is, okay, you want to bring in your daughter from Ecuador. She will need a visitor visa. So there's no special visa or PR you can apply for her, right? Because you already probably, I assume, you included her in your PR application because you're being sponsored by your Canadian spouse or partner, your partner, right? Common law or conjugal. So your daughter will require a visitor visa, and it's okay that there's a dual intent. You applied for her PR as well, I assume, and she's going to apply separately as a visitor to come and visit you and your partner. So that's what you do there, okay? The second part is, how long will it take for you to get your spousal work permit, the open work permit, while you're waiting for the sponsorship? Well, they will not process it until they process your PR. So in general, they have to approve your application before they process the work permit. So it's a funny thing. So 90% of your PR or sponsorship application, when it's done, 90%, that's when they give you a work permit. So many of our clients actually get the work permit like, I don't know, a month or a week before their PR confirmation. It's ridiculous. Don't ask me why, don't ask me how, but it's just ridiculous. But that's the way it is. So, Laura, you can take it from there.
Okay. Para responder una de las preguntas primero que había dicho Luca Flores, y es que si él puede, o por medio de qué programa puede él hacer que la hija de Ecuador esté en Canadá. La única opción vendría siendo con una visa de turismo. Ya igual ella está, me imagino yo, que también haciendo la aplicación a la residencia permanente junto con Luca. Entonces, la única opción es con una visa de turismo y pues igual eso se procesa por aparte, entonces no hay ningún problema. Y ya respondiendo lo otro, es que Luca, aparte de lo de la residencia permanente que está aplicando, también está aplicando a un permiso de trabajo de pareja. Entonces, en los tiempos en los que se demore, pues no hay como ningún tiempo en este momento establecido, pero probablemente va a recibir una respuesta del permiso de trabajo, ya sea unos días antes, una semana antes de recibir la aceptación de la residencia permanente. Igual tocas esperar, pero pues si recibes el permiso de trabajo, probablemente dentro de muy poco ya estarías recibiendo como la aprobación de la residencia permanente.
Great. Thank you, Laura. So thank you for the questions, everybody. Anel, we're here every Tuesday. So just to reconfirm with everybody, we're here with Laura every Tuesday. If you want just pure English, it's the morning session. If you want Spanish and English, it's the afternoon session. Evening, maybe in where you are, sometimes morning where you are. No problem, Luca. You're welcome anytime. I assume the Spanish answer made more sense to you, maybe, but I guess you understand both. So great. So that's how you can find us, right? Tuesdays mornings, afternoons. We're here with Laura in the Spanish bilingual session. We are licensed to answer your questions in terms of immigration. That's my license number right there. Laura from Colombia, Reza from Toronto. And again, remember everybody, this is an unedited live YouTube, Facebook video. So if you're going through this and you're like, whatever are they talking about? We don't have editing. We don't have special effects. There is no studio. There's no production team. This is pure live, raw video footage. And we're here to answer your questions. We're here for you. We're not here for anything else. We're here for you. Okay? Laura, any questions?
Hold on. I don't know if you answered a question, but I see that a person is asking if he can apply for a visitor visa at the same time.
Yeah,
You answered.
Yeah, they can. It's possible. Although when you apply for open spousal work permit, you do get a visa if it's approved. But since we know that it's not going to be processed quickly, I would say apply for a visitor visa. So all of our clients, what do? We ask them to come inside of Canada and apply for the spousal or partner work permit from inside, right? For if their spouse or partner is an international student or worker. For the sponsorship cases, you can only apply inside for a work permit, not from outside. But the problem is from inside, it doesn't get processed fast. But for everybody else whose spouse or partner is an international student or worker inside, your spousal work permit can be processed anywhere from 3 to 4.5 months. And we have our clients that we do that. Do not apply from outside of Canada for an open spousal work permit. Okay? No problem, Anya. Laura, are you there? I think Laura's connection is a little bit gone. So yeah, I mean, there she is. There she is again, Laura. Oh, sorry.
Sorry for my
Okay,
connection.
Laura. So can you translate that last part as well?
Yeah, sure. Entonces, lo que estaba comentando Reza acerca de la aplicación al permiso de trabajo cuando es de pareja, lo que siempre se aconseja es que se haga dentro de Canadá, porque por fuera de Canadá es mucho más complicado, no hay como una fecha para responder y tiende a ser un proceso mucho más largo, mientras que si se aplica dentro de Canadá, los tiempos de procesamiento son, digamos que más ágiles, que vendrían siendo entre 3 a 4 meses y medio, pues en dar respuestas si se aplica por dentro de Canadá.
Great, thank you. So if nobody else has questions, we're going to have a short session today. And remember, if you're watching this, the first 10 minutes was about how to apply for a work permit inside of Canada. And remember, the employer has to get the LMIA or do the processing. You just can handle the work permit. You as the worker cannot handle a LMIA, labor market impact assessment, whether it's LMI exempt or not exempt. Remember that. The rest of the session was answering questions from our viewers. That's basically it. And remember, everybody, we have a poll posted on our YouTube channel. Please participate and vote on the poll. We ask a question every week from our viewers regarding various immigration matters and your feedback on the show. Okay? So Laura, maybe you can just wrap it up with that and then we can close today's session.
Sure. Ok. Entonces, les comento a las personas de habla hispana que están en este momento acá. Los primeros, y pues acaban de llegar y se están preguntando qué es lo que está pasando. Entonces, los primeros 20 minutos nosotros más o menos estuvimos hablando de si se puede aplicar con un permiso de trabajo dentro de Canadá, las cosas que se tienen que tener en cuenta, las excepciones, etcétera, etcétera. Entonces, ya saben, los primeros 20 minutos del directo fueron tocando estos temas y lo demás ha sido respondiendo preguntas. También les comento que cada semana nosotros hacemos una encuesta en nuestro canal de YouTube para que se pasen por ahí, puedan responder esas encuestas y así como que también pues podemos interactuar más con ustedes y saber qué temas les llaman la atención.
Great, thanks, Laura. So we missed one question. That was my fault. Itzia Martinez says, I have a question for you. I applied for a PR since November 2020. Okay, inside Canada for an open work permit. Were you sponsored, Itzia? Was it like your partner or spouse is a Canadian and you applied as a sponsored person for PR? Is that correct? And for an open work permit in May 2021, also from I'm implied status at the moment. Hold on. No. So I just need to understand what's going on. Under which program? I'm single. Okay. Under which program did you apply? I'm an accountant. So you applied for a PR from inside Canada. Your work permit was expiring. And then you probably did a bridging work permit. Am I correct? Did you do a bridging work permit? Nice silence. So yeah, I mean, if you applied for PR, yes, okay. So you applied for a PR under a specific economic program, probably PNP or Express Entry, I assume. Your work permit was expiring, but you already applied for a PR in November. But your work permit was expiring probably sometime early 2021. So you applied for a bridging open work permit in May 2021 from inside of Canada. You received a letter stating that you can work until this time or until a decision is made. That is an implied status letter, and that will allow you to work until that time when your bridging work permit is issued. So typically your bridging work permit, it could be an open work permit or not, depending on your original work permit and the program. So if you were nominated by your employer, it will not be open. Then that bridging work permit will be for 12 months. So you should receive that. Okay. And the letter you received gives you a certain date until your implied status to work. Your work permit, however, will have a different validity date, and you will receive it physically to your address in Canada. Okay? So, did I answer your question? I sent you a question. Yeah. I'm just wondering if I answered this question. And the implicit status. Yeah, so you are under, I have not received any news yet. What date does it state on the letter for your implied status that you're allowed to work until? Usually it's like 4 to 6 months, no? Yeah, the PR will take time. If you're doing PNP, it could take 20 months and above. But the work permit, the bridging work permit should give you 12 months additional, and you have to receive the bridging work permit. So we're talking to Itzia here. We're going to get to your question too later. I believe that's Olubabakumi Lawrence. Okay. Yeah. So it's basically the letter will tell you until when you have implied status. The bridging work permit will typically be 12 months when you receive it. The PR will take time. The PR will take time. If it's not express entry inside Canada, okay, it will take time. If it's PNP, provincial nomination, you're looking at 20-25 months. Okay, so just FYI there. So going to Oluwabukumi's Lawrence's question. Good day, sir. If you submit, let's look at this. if you submit your study permit, what's the minimum weeks to be expecting response on the application? I assume you're applying from not from India, China, Philippines, or Vietnam, or Brazil, or Peru, or Colombia, wherever you have student direct stream. You're applying from another country which is not under the student direct stream program. I would say that you can expect somewhere between 2 to 3 months as a minimum, and it depends on your intake period. If your intake period is in January and you already applied, you should expect a response by December. If your intake period is next September or April, it will take a bit longer because they're prioritizing the January intakes for processing. Okay? Hopefully that answers your question. Itzia says, I have not received my new open work permit. It was express entry provincial nomination. Was it job offer based or not? Can you please clarify, Itzia? Did it have a job offer, or was it the human capital stream based on your occupation, not a job offer? Can you clarify that?
While we wait the answer, I want to talk about the study permit time in Spanish.
Yeah,
Okay.
sure.
Sure. Ok, les estaba diciendo algo importante, pues, y también un comentario en donde están preguntando los tiempos mínimos para recibir una respuesta de un permiso de estudio. Y teniendo en cuenta si no se está aplicando por el Student Direct Stream, que es como una vía más rápida, si no se aplica por ahí, depende de el intake, o sea, me refiero. Normalmente es de 2 a 3 meses mínimo de espera. Pero si para el permiso de trabajo se tiene la carta de aceptación en septiembre, eso significa que si aplica ahorita, lo más probable es que no le respondan en 2 o 3 meses, sino se demoran en responder más tiempo porque no es como una prioridad. Entonces también depende de la prioridad.
Okay, so most likely it will not be an open work permit, Itzia, because you had a job offer and it's the nomination, right? So it's a nomination based on an employer. So most likely you're not eligible for an open work permit. It's a closed work permit. And if you can tell us the date, then we can give you a little bit more insight. But I assume you applied correctly, because if you didn't apply correctly, there will there'll be delays in processing, or something on that end. I believe that most likely, I don't know all the details, but it should not be an open work permit because there's a job offer and there's a nomination. So on your nomination certificate for your PR, it states whether you have to keep working for the same employer. Your conditions are there. May 1st. Yeah, but what is the date? Did it state a date on it where it says that you can work until this date or until a decision is made, whichever is sooner? Do you have a date like that? Typically, they give you a date on the letter. Like they say you can work until this time on implied status, or there's no date. So we're just answering Itzia Martinez's question here live. If you're joining us, we're answering live questions as we go along here every Tuesday. If you're new to until the decision is made. Okay, that's fine. So you're on implied status until a decision is made. That's fine. But you have to receive a work permit or your PR. So that's all you can do. So right now there's not much you can do, is because what'll happen is under express entry, if you have no dependents outside of Canada and you're not outside of Canada, you're here, it should be processed quite quickly. However, the PNP processing is a little bit slower sometimes. You are under implied status. If the letter does not give you a date, that's fine. You continue until a decision is made, either your work permit or your PR. You cannot do anything else. Just wait and meet the conditions of your nomination certificate. So if it says that you have to stay in the province, work for this employer, stay in this position, that's what you have to do. Nothing else you can do. Last question by Anil. He says, how long does a visitor visa take? Right now, we're seeing 2 days to 2 months if you have ties to Canada. Spouse, family, student, worker, resident, coming here for work, conference, visiting somebody sick, these sort of things. I would say from Qatar, it's not very fast, but if you have a spouse here in Canada, you apply under the new program or new platform they have, and you could get a very quick decision within a month or two, or maybe even sooner. I've seen 2 days, but that's very abnormal. No problem, Itzia. Thanks, Anas. Thanks, Laura. So just say goodbye in Spanish to all of our colleagues, and we'll take it from here.
Ok, ya estamos dando cierre a este directo. Ya saben, los primeros 20 minutos fueron hablando del permiso de trabajo dentro de Canadá y después estuvimos respondiendo a las preguntas. Estamos todos los martes en directo, ya sea a las 9 de la mañana o a las 5 de la noche, de la tarde, hora Canadá. Y ya saben, si tienen o quieren adquirir nuestros servicios, pueden escribirnos a info@ingwe.ca, y si tienen muchas preguntas, pueden realizarla en lo que son todos los martes en directo o en nuestras redes sociales.
Great. Thanks, Laura. Thanks, everybody, for watching. We'll be back here next Tuesday answering all your questions. And we always have a theme for every week and every session: Spanish in the afternoon and English only in the morning. Okay? Thanks, Laura. Take care. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye.